Well, fellas and ladies, tip reviews for this channel for this year are about to end, but let's end off on some big boys. But I do have an article I do want to plug, and a website I want to plug as well, called Bite Size Breakdown. If this isn't your first time on this channel, you've definitely heard me talk about them before, but if it is, and well, here you go. On there are reviews and such, and in the link below, there's an article with all 60 movies I saw at the festival ranked and reviewed, so go deal with that now. Next up is No Other Choice, directed by Chan-wook. And, ooh, heard of him, buddy? he's an absolute psychopath, let me tell you. Old Boy, The Handmaiden, Sympathy for Lady Vengeance, and then, most recently, Decision to Leave. No Other Choice follows a man who's living a solid life with his family and some dogs and a nice home with a lot of great extracurriculums. When he's suddenly laid off at the paper factory he's devoted a quarter of his life to, and fearing that he'll lose the things that made his life grand, he begins to kill his competition in order to get a job. What I love about this movie is that it's very succinct. It's very, like, everything in this movie is a purpose, and it's not a simple jab. A lot of people are going to go, oh, you like Parasite? South Korean, class, genre movie. Everyone's going to go, Parasite has to be. And I gotta say that these two movies are taking very different jabs at class politics. Parasite was very head-on about, like, living a poor life and how poor people are looked down on. This isn't really what No Other Choice is. This is not that at all. I get a hint of desperation from this character, but there's definitely a lot more to Park Chan-wook's commentary than just he wants work. If you're a fan of Park Chan-wook like me, you'll be delighted to hear that his madman style of filmmaking is in full effect. If anything, even turning the dial up in some ways. There's so much genre fun to be had here. The editing is fucking crazy with all the whip pans and transition shots that he goes with, and the way that he uses the camera. It's fucking crazy. There's like a certain shot involving a lighter or like even a tooth or like a shot in a beer. And as a fan of his, this is not particularly new. It's just, oh yes, we're seeing more of it. It's not so much that he's advancing it, although in many ways you can interpret that as him doing it. It's more just seeing that he's not toning it down, even for a film that's certainly more accessible than anything he's ever made, I would say. I think a lot of his movies are very heady and very, it takes a viewing or two to get on its wavelength, except for maybe Old Boy. I do think that this movie, in terms of, messaging, is very nuanced and layered, and there's so much to pick apart that I may have to do spoiler analysis to fully dig into. This is a comedy, this is a thriller, it's very smartly well written, it's got these dramatic elements of this family, and the character study of a guy just kind of, succumbing to a certain thing that's becoming a norm. But yeah, obviously we're watching a guy, starting to kill people, obviously a certain type of evil, but you kind of start to question his motive a little bit. Is it to protect his family or his ego? It almost has a Breaking Bad quality to it, where you're watching a man commit crimes in the vein of a good thing that's happening to him, but you kind of start to question, is it just to help himself? Because in the beginning of the movie, we kind of get the idea that he's not living a poor life. He's not, I wouldn't call him super rich, but he's definitely living a privileged lifestyle. There's a scene where the wife starts to go over things that they have to cut, and they're all very superficial things. The movie has a very dark sense of humor. It's borderline, there's some moments that are borderline straight out of a Naked Gun. There's even some slapstick thrown in there. It's a very funny movie, but on top of being a very successfully thrilling film, this is a genre film in every sense of the word. And obviously Park Chan-wook's a genre master, so it tracks. But I love that the thrills are are complementing the underlying story underneath and the messaging. This is a very of the now movie. Alongside one battle after another, this feels super contemporary and very of this moment. The way we're kind of slowly going further and further into automation and AI, and how some people may have no other choice but to succumb. And when you're desperate, you kind of have no other choice but to do these things. Oh, I got the title. The title has a lot of meaning. Yeah, I had no other choice but to commit these heinous acts, to do these things, to sell your soul a little bit. The main character isn't some sad sack in desperate poverty. He's kind of a weasel. I talked to a friend after seeing the movie, and he said that the book that this movie is based on, the main character is kind of like a badass. And yeah, this movie's kind of a weasel. The first time we see him commit like a murder, like it's like a process. It's not simple like badass boom got him. It's like it takes a second to get there. Like it takes a second to get himself to commit this act, to actually successfully pull it off. Both emotionally, he's got to get himself there, but also just from a physical level, he is incapable. And it takes like a while to get there, and it's pretty funny. We even get to know the victims themselves and their desperation and the way their situation connects to his. Leads to some callbacks. It's a very fascinating work of like fiction writing. And Lee Byung-hun plays this character perfectly while watching his like humanity start to diminish. He plays it with this weird authenticity of like, yeah, he's like desperate, but what's behind the desperation? Lee Byung-hun does an excellent job of portraying this like doofiness and this kind of cowardice flawlessly in a very, yes, cartoonish but believable way. There's something for everybody in this movie. It's got the genre thrills. It's so endlessly entertaining and very smart on its messaging on work labor. The way workers are being replaced by robots and people desperate enough to be the last worker remaining in a way. I think that there's a lot to ponder on top of the fun you're having. And I think that makes this one of Park's best works. Like, there's so much to admire here, and I think there's something everyone can take away. Like, deep dread you can take away, but also be like, hey, that was also an entertaining time. And it's just truly a masterwork at the end of the day. It's very easy to fall for no, the choice is hilarious and thrilling madness orchestrated by Park Chan-wook's genius, but under all the entertainment is something genuinely captivating on class and the job market, which is bleak and yet startling at once, and delivered with a perfect punch by a master filmmaker. I'm going to go ahead and give No Other Choice 9.5 Park Chan-wooks out of 10. I think Oscars need to be discussed with this film because I think we are on our way to Park Chan-wook's first Oscar moment. I don't care that Decision to Leave was snubbed. I do not care. You cannot do that and then predict Josh Safdie. It won the International People's Choice at TIFF. I feel like that's a bigger deal than people are giving it credit for. Like, we now have evidence that there is audiences who prefer this to Neon's other stuff. If Neon didn't have so much, I would be like, guys, cut the shit, it's in. Sure, there are, like, I think that's the only argument you can levy against this film, but I also wonder if eventually this will be Neon's top beast. I don't think Accident is particularly number one. Sentimental Value might, and it has the acting thing, so like that tracks. But this is I want to say crowd pleaser because it is pretty bleak, but it is crowd friendly. It's easy to grasp. It's also deep at the same time. It's also very entertaining. I think it's far past time Park Chan-wook gets an Oscar nomination. He's got screenplay pretty secure, I would say. That feels locked in, I would say. I don't know if Lee Byung-hun gets it. I think he'll get some stuff. I think Globe. It's probably gonna go comedy at the Globe because it's very, very funny. I do think that he'll probably get at least that. I don't know. He doesn't have to get the Oscar. I think editing makes sense. Casting makes sense. Cinematography could happen. I don't think it needs to, though. I don't know. I think you should have this in picture. If not in the bottom 5. I have it pretty securely in there, but I also can see the argument against it that he hasn't, like, this. That happens. Everybody is never nominated until they are. I don't know. That's my take. I think he'll, like, get his first nom here, but otherwise, just go fucking watch this movie. It's amazing. If you're a fan of mine, you're gonna, watch it anyway. So with that in mind, let's grab and share. Get the fuck out of here.